Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM23 Lions. This is episode 29. Final two stages of the final sponsor objective. The decisive moment is coming. Right now, we have not won a stage, but we have podium. We can offset the lack of winning a stage, which is nearly impossible right now, as Mark Hershey is absolutely crushing it. He has been impossible to beat, winning all three, at least, bunch sprints, and looks the favorite to do so again here. This stage 4 is classified as a sprint stage, and as we get through the penultimate climb of the day, it's short, little punchy stuff, and there is the breakaway up ahead. Two of those riders nearly coming back now. We are going to want to set up our sprint train sooner rather than later. I thought about taking Mulebron, who sits third overall and can offset the lack of a stage victory quite well with that third place. Try to do something to gain a few more seconds or a few more points, as he's second in the points classification and third overall. But the intermediate sprint, there's nothing coming from this. We've still got 18k to go. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. There's not enough points to overcome Mark Hershey because he's killing it. There's not enough seconds to overcome Mark Hershey because, aforementioned killing it, but also the guy in second place from the breakaway had a substantial advantage that if we climb and climb's hard enough, he'll lose time and we'll beat him that way. But otherwise, we've got second or third secured. So 14.9k to go. We're going to set up our sprint train here fairly soon, push through this last little climb, but set it up for ultimately a sprint. Mulebron's going to get a free tow at the back. But otherwise, it's going to be a sprinter's day. And now, 4k to go to the top of that. I think it's time. I don't want to push too hard yet. 13k to go, but it's going to be about positioning. So Mulebron's going to follow Gibbons. Gibbons is still our sprinter. So Kudos is going to get out here first. We're going to try a 90 overall, see what that does. If we can get it out front right now, that's not enough to do it, but part of that's a space issue. There was space on the right hand side of the road, but we couldn't get to it. It still won't let us get to it. The road is technically skinnier than what it appears to be. Now, good thing is nobody's attacking. There's a lot of sprint trains here. There's a left hand side of the road that is open. We can get Burhi in it. We can get Zerai in it, but can we get Arafane in it? Just about. Yeah, the others are starting to make way for us. That's good. Kudos leads over the top. Burhi, Zerai. Whoa, Gibbons! Dude. You got a team there, right? You've got Red Bar. He's caught way behind. Right now we are riding for De Villiers at this point. 4.9k. Gel. 4k. Burhi, I would tell him to go, but go where? His teammates are not on his wheels. There we go. Now they are. Now we go. 2.5k. Kudos, get out of the way. Burhi. Non-sprinter sprinting. Zerai sprinting. Arafane sprinting. And De Villiers sprinting. Gibbons did finally make it up here, but it's way too late. We're way out of position. Not today, folks. And of course, somebody, Michael Matthews, of course, finally beats Mark Hershey. Only takes third today. Vandenberg takes second. Good to see that somebody finally knocks Mark Hershey off his pedestal. Bad to see that it was absolutely, without a doubt, not us making that happen. Only 44 in that final group. Did any of the riders get dropped and lose time? One guy in particular. We had no one to lead out. They didn't make contact until we were already too far down compared to everybody else, so we were absolutely useless in that sprint today. But time gaps were given. 45th and below lose roughly a minute. Was that guy currently sitting in second place? No, come on. Are you kidding me? You're telling me Michael Matthews has survived all those climbs? I mean, he's a decent puncher, but wow. So Mulebron Now we do need those seconds. Now those 3 seconds we might have gained at the beginning, that's kind of where I was looking at it, or here where I was looking at it, that time gained would have made the difference, or put us in position for the final stage to maybe make a difference. We're off the podium, still a top 5. That's still plus territory for the evaluation to try to offset the lack of a stage win, but things are a little bit scary heading into the final stage. Final stage, if things are hard, it's mixed on how I think about that. It could be good because Rudy's is more likely to lose time, and therefore we're more likely to move back into the top 3. But we lack the quality compared to some of the other teams, and there's a lot of climbing to do here. So if it's hard, we could see Molebron dropped. He's only got a +1 today. He's not elite. And we could end up seeing him slip to 6th, 7th, 8th place and finish ahead of Rudy's, but finish behind others. So I don't think it would take that much for Rudy's to get dropped and lose time. I think it's best for us if the race is not overly complicated, overly difficult. This is the hardest climb. This is also the finishing climb, so we're going to get a look at it here. Let's see what we have with this one. We're at 10%, 11% here, 12% for the gradient, 14, still 15 in climbing. This is a hard climb. And you see just how much wear and tear it's putting onto the guys right now. It's uncategorized this time, but the next 2 times as we go through it will be. Second lap on it, and then the finish. Wow. Oh, it stays hard. It stays quite hard. That is a hard climb. That is a very hard climb, and that means a good mountain rating is going to be important. It's only 2.3K, but it's 14%. 18.7 max. It's tough. It is tough. That is full-on mountain levels, and pace-wise, I mean, it's only 3K, so maybe it hits into the medium mountain a bit, and that's a better chance for us, but you can see how much fatigue the entire team is carrying after having done that just once. Now, we are going to descend here shortly, gradually, so hopefully that means we're going to get a good amount of recovery. That'll bring the heart rate down, and it'll take a little while to get to the bottom, and therefore we'll be in better shape. Speaking of better shape, if I don't get water, we're going to be in bad shape. So Aerofane, go take care of that. Peloton's already down to 70. Breakaway, surprisingly large group today and on surprisingly large advantage. You would think Mark Hershey's team, Huggins Berman's, would make a bigger effort to catch up to that group, but they really haven't. They've only pulled back 40 seconds over that last climb, which means that front group's going pretty hard. They've only lost 2 riders, though. Hopefully they will be blowing up fairly soon. Now, at 75, that lack of recovery is surprising. We really have not recovered that much, and we're going to have to step it up to a much higher level for this next climb. This is going to hurt, folks. We are not going to make our whole team through this. In fact, Villiers, go ahead and gel up now. Aerofane, go ahead and gel up now. You guys are the most tired. Gibbons looking a little bit better. He's got a +4 today and is a little bit better climber. 230 the gap to those front guys, and riders are getting dropped. We are holding position just fine this time. And the gap is still 230, so we are not pushing very hard. Like I said, I like that better. I don't want to be losing team, and Molebron's not looking great. There's Hershey coming to the front. 59 riders. 49 riders. Down to 45. Easing off for a second. Let's get to grips with what's going on. Front group, break it up all over the place. There are riders scattered to the winds. Aerofane has been dropped. De Villiers has been dropped. We need to replace them in the grand scheme of things. We need to protect Molebron Kudos. Go ahead and protect. Gibbons, go ahead and no. Kudos, relax. But we will use first Gibbons and then Burhi and protect, I think, Zerai. Zerai is definitely higher placed. Yes, he is. 77 mountain, 75 medium mountain. LeBron just a 73 mountain. That is really weak. 75 medium mountain gives him a little bit better chance. Kudos, 74, 74. Gibbons, a 70 today. Here's the last little incline before we, well, I guess there's one last little incline after that, but Burhi already struggling. He's on a 73, so it just goes to show alone how difficult it is. You would expect that if Mullebron had been alone, he'd be in the same boat Burhi is right now if we weren't protecting him. This descent will give us some recovery, but 47 riders chasing one in no man's land, chasing 5 more who still have a 2.5 minute advantage. So their group might have blew up the way ours did, but they didn't pull away, and we didn't pull them back. Just the strongest of each group has survived. The only advantage is that their numbers have dwindled to where they're not going to have as many guys setting them up for the climb, and where we have, you know, a handful of riders who are doing all of the riding right now, but it's still 2.5 minutes. Burhi, tired. Mullebron, tired. Not looking great. But here we go. 5K to go. Now, this is a tricky scenario because Mullebron is tired, but I don't want to be leading. I don't want to be pushing, but at the same time, as tired as Mullebron is, he's going to be better at the back end of a group. And with just 5K, the protect, it's not that long of a climb. It's going to be hard and fast, which is hard to think about as steep as it is, but it is. That's how it's going to turn out. So we do need to sprint train this thing. We are not going 99 though, but that'll set him up for the end. And it's Zerai, Kudos, Burhi, or is it going to be Gibbons? He's got a 70. He's got a better flat rating. We need to use Gibbons right now, and Burhi for that matter. Gel both. Gibbons first, and then when we get to the climb. I don't want a proper 99. This is about getting the team lined up. Okay, yeah, see, Mullebron not feeling the pain here. Burhi does feel it a bit, and that's the base of the climb, so now Gibbons. Just gotta watch Mullebron. Oh. Burhi out of the order. Gibbons. Kudos. Get up on Gibbons. Let's see just how hard the others are pushing here. Gel for these guys. Kudos still hasn't finished covering that gap to Gibbons. 1.5K. He's going to have to go a lot harder than this. 93 for Zerai. Can you make progress and get Mullebron a little bit higher up this road? Not much. Kudos. 95 the rest of the way, and Mullebron. Medium Mountain. I guess Medium Mountain and Hills is where he's at. 1K to go. See how far this can take us. We are definitely moving up the order here. 700 meters. Suggests that we are doing exactly what we need to do here to just gently move up and sprint it the rest of the way. It's not a Hershey win. Battistella, Gall. Hershey takes third again. He's on the podium again. Mullebron hopefully does not lose time with this. Hard to say. There's a little gap right there after Uchabrooks to Arietta. That could be a gap. 28 seconds. This could be a gap after Grossschartner to Zog. Mullebron could be losing time here. He could slip out of the top 10 even. Matthews, only 18th. So if we lose time, he's definitely losing time. If the gaps that were there, if those gaps are going to persist, if they're going to be there, there's a gap from Mullebron to Matthews. If those gaps exist, that gap must exist because he was just as far off. Rudis is not there. Rudy's is not there, so chances are he's losing time. My guess, gaps are going to get given. Some, not all. My guess is we are fourth group. Matthews starts group number 5. That's what it should be. There was only 12, 14, 15 riders left that were up there on time. So some of these guys were down on time. My guess is we're still in the top 10 with Mullebrun, but I think we're going to have lost time. Oh, of course. There are gaps given. Lots of them. We are a lot further down the order than I thought we would be. Like I said, I figured we would be fourth group. But I figured if there were going to be substantial gaps given, that you have to give a gap to Matthews. But no. Schoenberger, who was on side by side with Matthews, doesn't get same time. But Matthews, who was 2 bike lengths behind Mullebrun, gets same time as Mullebrun. And Schoenberger is classified in the next group. Make it make sense. So there's already one guy who's still ahead of us. So Matthews is ahead of us still. Rudy's is minute 3, so we're ahead of him. That was a half a minute. Reclassify us third at the moment. But then how many of these guys? 4 seconds lost to Grossschartner. We don't have to worry about him. We were more than 4 seconds ahead. Were we? Was it only 4 seconds? Ooh. No guarantees. There are 13 guys possible to jump Mullebrun here from the third place that we've already said. He can't be higher than that. 10th. Squeak out a 10th place finish. Hershey takes the win. Battistella is second. Gall, Gosner, Adria, Berwick moves up to 6th. Petrovic, Shaw. Matthews does keep that spot just ahead of us. Grossschartner was 6 seconds down, so we beat him by 2 seconds. That being the difference. Rudy's slips to 13th. We squeak out a top 10. Absolutely by the skin of our teeth. That should be a plus. We should only have a partial failure with a podium finish instead of a stage win. No guarantees, though, that we have secured. Let's find out. Push forward a day. Fingers crossed. Do we finally have a super success? It fell to about 88%, but that is super success range, so skin of our teeth. That 10th place. Without that 10th place, that might not have been enough. 2 more seconds for Grossschartner. And that might have been another season of oh so close, but failing. We actually ended up getting 2 pluses. We got the climber's jersey to wear as well with Zerai on that first stage. So we get 2 pluses overall. That extra plus, pretty key. We did it though. Super success. We are going to get more money, which is still not a lot, folks. We're going from 74,000 to 89,000. One rider, one team leader makes more than that on any team in the peloton, or at least the top half of the peloton. You know, your top 6, 7, 8 guys all make more money than that alone. So we got a long ways to go for having the finances to properly be competitive. But whew, that extra 8,000 makes a difference for each and every season upcoming. That is a start. We are getting up there. Another couple of seasons to where we're going to max out this sponsor if nothing African shows up for us, which I'm guessing it won't. At some point when we reach the maximum, we will have a new sponsor regardless. I'll make sure of that, but for now, it's a tight contest. Contract re-signed with Lions Racing Team for another season, so the sponsorship is taken care of with that part, and it's on to signing day. Let's get through the first part briefly. I have 7 expiring contracts, which I've already knocked down to 5 expiring contracts with the re-signing of Shimway for 2.5, 3 years, and with Johannes Dalek for 3,000 for 3 years. So we've got both of those guys coming back for a long term, and they're both close to being at that breakout point where they're going to be quite good. As for what to do with the other 5 expiring contracts, Osman was a bust. He had potential through the scouts, but when we signed him, it turns out that there wasn't potential, so he's stuck in at 2.5 stars. and has done absolutely nothing. So he's an easy one to say goodbye to. Aerophane, not as easy to say goodbye to, but not because he doesn't have potential, but because we are so weak in the sprint. There's literally nothing we can do to make this team better in the sprint right now. And the last thing I want to do is make it weaker. But Aerophane just does not have potential. Aerophane, in the first place, was a desperate hire because we needed someone to help Gibbons. And it turns out that we just, even with what we have, it's no use. Aerophane is incredibly weak, lacks potential. We're letting him go, even though it's going to hurt our sprint team even more. And I've done so much scouting this year to try to figure out something to improve our potential in the sprint. Likewise, Gibbons has an expiring contract, but he's 31. And he's a terrible sprinter. He's got a 72 in the sprint. And with the likes of Mark Hershey, who has a 75, 76 plus an 81, and we're on the extreme difficulty where that is a +4. So he's got an 85 acceleration to our 72. He's +13. He has a 78 or 79 sprint to our 72. We are 7 or 8 points behind, 13 points behind, for an average of being about 11 points behind in the sprint. We just can't compete with that. Now, I do know how to win a sprint with a weaker team, and I've done it hundreds of times at this difficulty level, but we're too far off. And the only way to do it is to win from the front, to be at the front when the sprint starts, because you are never going to head-to-head outpace these guys. But if you can get a bike length on the lead out guy of a mediocre sprinter, who's then being followed by better sprinters, meaning you've got 3, 4, 5 bike lengths on everybody else's top sprinters. A 5 bike length advantage with a decently quick sprinter, that's enough. Being in that position with the team that we have right now, nobody has a flat rating. Nobody can give us enough of a lead out to even get out front and still have a full red bar for our sprinter to then hang on to everybody else. So right now we just can't put it together, nor can we maintain the pace we need to hold them off. If we follow the best sprinter, when they take off, even if we just follow, they're going to leave us behind by 3, 4 bike lengths. It's going to happen each and every time. And we will finish certainly no better than what we're getting right now, but often worse. Now, right now, the plan just does not go according to plan most of the time because there isn't enough of a lead out to even get us in the position to try. Every once in a blue moon, we've had a few wins. We've had a handful of wins with Gibbons on our team. We took first at the Tour of Oman this year. We took third on a stage at the Tour of Oman this year. We took the green jersey. Last year, we took second overall at the Tour of Saudi Arabia and won 2 stages in 25 and 24. He was with us each of those. We took second on a stage this year, Tour of Austria, to Mark Hershey. We got close. We were there. The wins have been really rare. The podiums have been really rare. Everything has to go perfectly for us to even have a chance at a top 5. And we just don't have the team to really put us in that position. And we have to have more than just things go perfectly. We have to have luck. And that's just not an equation that's come together. And Gibbons is already into his 30s. He's not going to get any better. He's only going to get worse from here on out. So what's the point hanging on desperately? I could save the money that we're spending on him, which isn't a lot, but the near $5,000 that he's making is absolutely money I can put elsewhere. We will eventually have a sprint team. There will eventually be the 1, 2, 3 riders we need in the pool that are capable in a sprint. We will eventually have enough quality in the development of our climbers that as they grow and develop, their flat ratings will come along with it. They might get a 78 mountain and a 72 flat, but that 72 flat with good race day condition is going to be a 75, 76, and that will be capable of getting us out front. So that when our sprinter, who's still going to be significantly weaker, theoretically, than those around them, as we can't even seem to find one now. But if we can get a 75, 76 sprint rating with a good lead out, we can get a win with them. But these 72s with no stamina, no ability to climb, poor flat ratings, it's not the combination necessary. So for now, we're kind of doing away with our sprint team. Gibbons is out. Arafane is out. The only one left at this point is De Villiers. And De Villiers, he's 21. He's got some potential. He's going to get better. But this is your future lead out guy. 71 sprint right now, 73 acceleration. He's nearly our best option as it is. Couple more riders like this combined can at the very least be future leadouts when we do finally get that right piece in place. But it's not Gibbons. So we're going to move on. That leaves me with two riders that I wouldn't mind still having. They can still offer something. It's not what it was a few years ago. These guys were our absolute leaders in years 1, in one of their case, 2, and into our 3rd season. Now they have bit parts. They help us out in places. They're often the domestiques now. And they also, compared to others, have very limited potential. Now, in the case of Kudos, he's already 32 and just a 73, 73, 71, which has already been eclipsed by a number of riders, and a number of riders just behind him with much higher potential are going to get beyond that soon. I do not want to waste 6 or even 10,000 on keeping Kudos on this team. So Kudos is almost certainly going to be out, but he's an option, maybe, on the back end of the list of someone that I may look to see if he'll re-sign for, 4,000 or something. Zerai is the longest serving member of this team, but at 74, 72, 74, with weak stamina, weak flat, Zerai doesn't offer us much. And the 23-year-old who was on the initial roster, as you can see, is nearly maxed out. Now, another 3 years he would. And being better than he is now wouldn't be bad. But guaranteed, this is a guy who's going to be looking for more. He's already making more than a minimum. He's almost certainly going to be looking for 5+. He was almost certain going to cost us a little bit extra. So just like Kudos, I'm not completely opposed to re-signing him, but he's very much at the tail end of the list. Now, based on age, based on the fact that he's already eclipsed Kudos, based on that he's certainly probably cheaper, Zerai is above Kudos. There are better options out there that have far greater potential, and we have to turn in that direction. Even though both of them help the team out as it is right now, and it makes us ever so slightly weaker to not have them on the team next season, long term, we need the prospects. We need the guys that are going to eclipse what they are, what they've been. We need what they can become. And those guys, it's just not any more than what they give us now. On the scouting side, this will be quick. There just isn't quality. There isn't options here that we're going to like. Omar Musa is a maybe. There's a couple 17-year-olds that maybe have the 4-star potential, but we don't know. And they haven't turned 18 as of yet, so ruling them out. We do have 2 18-year-olds that are showing up that I am scouting, that if we still have a little bit of money left over later, could be an option. But problem here, one's just a puncher, and not a good one right now at all. Really bad right now, so I wouldn't mind waiting and sitting and just seeing what happens. I mean, if we were talking 6-star, then yeah, who cares that they're not good now, and then you got to wait a bunch of years. You get them signed, you get them locked down. But this one, a little bit better. He's only a time trialist. It's not going to offer us anything particularly useful. So the only rider that I've gone to the deep end to really push to see what they're capable of and get that full 10-star evaluation, it's just not looking good. Really poor climber, not going to get much better, so it's only on the flat. And while he could help you with, Matthew DeVilliers and give us a second sprinter, where if it was 5 stars, if it was that little bit more, I'd say sure, let's go for it. But it's not. There's actually some better Tunisians out there right now. So our current evaluation is 3 stars, and that is so much higher than it was, especially because we've gone from not 1, but all the way up to 3 4-star riders. That is progress. That is a half star for the entire team evaluation. For those who aren't familiar with it, the way the rankings are determined, the way the divisions are determined, has nothing to do with how you perform and everything to do with your reputation. The way they determine that is not the popularity piece, but it's by the quality, the average quality of your top 3 riders. Top 3 is what matters. It does actually kind of mimic what goes on in real life, because there's not a proper promotion relegation system, but teams move up and teams move down. But it mostly has to do with who's the face of the team. You sign Peter Sagan, and all of a sudden the Continental Pro Team is in World Tour. You sign Chris Froome, and a fairly new team that was at Continental Pro is suddenly Israel Premier Tech and in the World Tour. So the face of your team is what determines it. In the game, that's decided by that rating of your top 3. So having gone from 3.5 stars to suddenly 4 stars, we've got some quality now. But what does that 3-star quality actually look like compared to Continental Pro? Right now, that comes up as 32nd place. Right now, that's good enough. But that's on the low end. It's on the low end. So there's a decent chance that we still don't make it this season. Looking at the Continental Pro teams and what they have kind of in out, you can see that we don't rate compared to these guys. There's a team that's looking at 3-4 stars already on what's returning, but they got 31 riders and 3.5 stars. But that's Astana. Yolo Komite, same thing, and they are already set and already ahead of us. Has 1 4.5 star guy, and they do really, really fall off with only 8 contracts. They've got 15 expiring. But again, we're talking about a 3.5 star. Glass Trove, 3.5. Green Project, 3.25. Still better than what we can offer. Though, yes, they do have expiring. But all these expiring, those guys all got to go somewhere. So you assume that it's going to be some sort of revolving door, and teams will more or less end up where they are now. A few will be lower, a few will be higher, and so the net should be about the same. And 3.5, 3.25 seems to be what's expected of Continental Pro. Radio, it's like Popular, right? The Portuguese side, different sponsor now, but 3 and a fraction. 1 4.5 star guy, 2 4 stars doesn't quite cut it. Arkea Samsic, nearly 4 stars. Continental Pro, cool pick. You can see it just does get down just at the low end to 3 star. We are very clearly on the fringes now, but I'm not sure we've actually made it. You got multiple teams in here that at their worst are where we're at, and that's maybe the bottom 4 or 5 teams. So we've gotten to there. I'm not sure we've gotten in yet, because for the 4 or 5 that are in, there's got to be another 4 or 5 or 8 that are going to be out, that are somewhere right around that same level. So it looks like we are on the fringes. The signings that we have are not going to suddenly bump us in there. None of them are 4 stars. We're not going to be better on the high end, but we are going to have some prospects coming in, and I'm actually excited by some of those prospects. Let me go ahead and make what I'm expecting to be 6 more. 5 going out. I'm looking on bringing 6 in. Let me see if I get them all signed. I think I have the finances to do it quite easily. Right now, $44K to spend. I'm expecting that all 6 of them should be signed for minimum or close to it, meaning 15 to 18,000 is all we're going to end up spending. So at least the finances are going to be good to try to retain some of these guys once they do start hitting their potential. None of this year's group have that issue. Late additions to my dossiers were Zerai and Kudos, and neither one made it out of red. So actually, I don't even have the ability to re-sign them. So we can rule that one out. The two best, of course, are the returning Johannes Dalek and Ashimwe, but it's the quality. First guy we're going to sign, Sami Arab. 5-star potential. 5-star potential. But let me go ahead and get those signings taken care of, and then you can see who we end up with. As they have no impact on our top 3, the index remains unchanged. And again, that means we're on the fringes and maybe on the outside looking in, unless one of those top 3 or somebody that's behind them bumps up, some sort of improvement on our top 3 guys. But here are the 6 signings that I'll be adding for the coming season. The one I'm most excited about, Sami Arab, is a 5-star prospect, a 5.5-star, not quite GC, more of a pure climber, not necessarily the time trial, but he's already got a 72 medium mountain, matching most of the best guys we have on our team. I thought long and hard about doing the 1-year contract with him to do the re-signing. You can essentially get a 4-year deal out of somebody before you see a serious bump in their pay scale. But as he's already 3 stars, there's in all likelihood a chance that he's going to see a fairly big jump in his salary next season. So if I do a 1-year deal and then try to re-sign him, I'd probably be looking at 5,000 or 6,000, 8,000 maybe, and then it's gonna get more expensive. I went ahead and did the 3-year deal, but in 3 years he could be quite costly. But at the same time, in 3 years we might be able to get him re-signed for 20 to 30,000 or to 40,000, as opposed to the next year where he could be worth 70 or 80. The Moroccan Benuna, 4.5-star prospect, but very similar, and actually GC kind of guy. We've got the mountain and the time trial. He's not terribly punchy, but he's a little bit on the sprint side where he could maybe get some results. Very well-rounded. Vugamana. Havug is a cobbled raider. I went for a classics rider to get somebody onto the team to help us out. I have one guy who's kind of cobble rated. This will give us 2. But what he's also going to be good at, flat rating. This is somebody to eventually help lead out sprinters. Very useful and can help in team time trials. Overall, not a great profile, but it's a start. Another GC kind of guy in Mutoni. Mutoni will be a very good 5-star climber and 5-star time, or almost 5-star time trialist. He could be very capable Continental Pro wise and is a bit punchy. Not much of a sprinter this one, but again, 3 guys that are very well rounded that are going to help us immensely once they level up. Unlike the other 2, he's only a 2.5-star guy right now. He's got a lot further to go to get somewhere. So I signed a 1-year deal with him to have it expire next season so we can turn right around and re-sign him for either minimum, which he's on now, or for 3,000, 3,500, then lock down that 3-year deal. That way, essentially, you're getting 4 years on the cheap for this rider before he kind of reaches his maximum potential. And at 4.5 stars, if that's his maximum, he should always be under about 20K anyway. But we don't have to worry about that until 4 years in. The last 2 are more of a reach. Sprinter number 2. This is our replacement for Gibbons. But also good news with this guy, as he's out of Ghana. If we can put him into some lower level races when he gets leveled up, he'll be better than Gibbons. But at 74, 75 sprint, I don't know. But if he can steal 1 win somewhere in his career as the lead out guy, that 1 steal could boost Ghana up. It's a 1-1 nation, so that's an opportunity. He's already a 68 sprint, only 64 acceleration, but he should pick up a couple levels pretty quick, and I'm hoping by mid-year next year we'll be close to what we're losing with Gibbons and Arafat. And the last man, Janssen, well-rounded kind of guy. Better puncher than what the other options were. Okay for the cobble rating eventually. And a decent climber. He'll have a little bit of capability in the sprint as well. Definitely for the right race, right focus, could be that puncher. I don't like to get guys that are just hill rated. I like getting that combination where they can climb and be punchy. This is that guy. And he's a pretty good one. He's already got 75 acceleration. He's already got 74 downhill. He's already got 70 stamina. When the other attributes come along, he should be a useful tool for us. That's our sightings for the coming year. I don't think we're going to make Continental Pro just yet, but man, oh man, we've got to be getting close, and this has got to be a step in the right direction in terms of making the team stronger. But Zerai is going to be out, Kudos is going to be out, and their immediate replacements coming in are definitely not as good day one as the two that are outgoing. So we are going to have a little bit of a void to fill in the team short term, but there's now just gobs of potential within this team, and with some better staff, we've seen more rapid improvement this year. So by the time we get to January 1st, or by the time we get to February, March, where things are getting started on the coming season, I think there's enough prospects that somebody should be as good or better than those two guys. It's only two that we're replacing, and they're already not at the top of the team. So I think those spots should be filled already internally or from these guys coming in by February. And then as the season goes on, with all the potential that we have, we're going to see guys get beyond that. And we should see, if it doesn't happen, by October, over the course of next season, we'll without a doubt have multiple 4-star guys, and hopefully one or two hitting that 4.5-star, and finally getting us to Continental Pro. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.